So, and then because I'm a short sleeper anyway, so I used to uh, take this watchman job during the night. So I would go during the day to my work, and I would do a watchman job in the night. Uh, of course, it's all volunteer. It's not for pay or anything. I have my IT job to go in the morning, and then I would be up till 4, and then at 4 I'll sleep, and then get up around 7 for the morning satsang, and then my day begins, right? So often during the night, he would come out, past midnight. He would take a stroll around the ashram. I would just follow him behind like a security guard. And there was no discussion, nothing. He would just look at me and then he would walk. I'll follow him. We go back. It's never any dialogue between us. And then usually in the evenings around 8:30 after dinner, he would come and sit outside, and all the people will gather. Somebody will sing, somebody will ask him questions, and somebody will say something, some general discussion. There's nothing formal about it, right? And then he would suddenly stop and he would look at the sky. And if there is any flight going at that time, he would say, which flight is, and he knows all the schedule of the flights in his mind. He would say, okay, this is going to Denmark, or this is going to US, or this is going to some place, right? And then he would recognize the flight just by the time. And then he likes looking at the star constellations. He will identify the star constellations depending on the day, and the sky is visible, he'll tell you the star constellations. He likes that astronomy. I mean, he knows many subjects. You talk to him about any subject, he knows. So once someone asked, how do you know so many subjects? He said, I'm a good listener. I listen to people. And then he would go silent. So one day I made an observation to him that, Master, when you are silent, that silence is very profound. I feel a lot of depth in that silence. And he had a big laugh. And then he said, good, you recognized it. The weak minds break the silence. That's what he said. Weak minds break the silence. And then he went silent again. And somebody asked him a question and everybody laughed. So, I mean, we used to have fun like this around him. He used to tell us a lot of jokes. I mean, innumerable jokes, right? So, I mean, the jokes have no limits. He could talk about anything. Sometimes, drunkard friends were talking about who can drink more, right? So, and one guy says, I can take one full bottle, or somebody said something, and then they ask the third guy, I mean, who is the host of the house. He says, how much can you drink? He says, I don't know, I cannot say it. But, you have to give us some measure, right? So he calls his maid. So that maid is not very good looking. So he calls the maid and he asks, how are you doing? And she says, good. And he says, go. So, and he asks his friends, what do you think about maid? Oh, we have not seen such a, bad looking woman. So he says, I drink till she appears beautiful to me. Something like this. So, and then he says, hope any old guys are not listening to me. They'll think I'm spoiling you guys, you know. So anyway, so it's like so much fun around him. There's so many jokes, this whole hour is not enough to even just to talk about the jokes. But anyway, so this is like, it was fun. It was such a beautiful moments with him. We're always looking forward to seeing him in the evening. And usually he's on travels. When he's back, the ashram lights up. He connected with every Abhyasi somehow, in some fashion, some form. Everyone felt close to him. He made them feel like that. If you go in front of him, this is something what Babu just asked, how to learn about service. This is the profound thing I have learned from him. The most profound thing, I would say. Any person goes to him, talks to him, he has his 100% attention on that person. In that moment, to Chariji, no one exists other than that person. He might give you 2 minutes, sometimes 1 minute, doesn't matter. That 1 minute is fully yours. He is 100% paying attention to you. See, that is made people connect to him very profoundly. He did not discriminate based on what you are. He doesn't need to know what you are. But when you are talking to him, he gave his 100%. That's how he served. Even today, even the mothers cannot give their 100% to the child because they have so many things going in their mind. But this man, when you are in front of him, he is yours completely. So that's how he served. I mean, that's how he connected with people. And that's how much care he has given to everyone who was in front of him. Of course, he's well read, and he has a huge library full of books, especially in Manapakam. In those days, all the books in the library were actually purchased by Chariji and read by him. You will see he'll underline somewhere if he has any thoughts on that point. He will make a notes then and there on the book. You will see if something is important, he will underline. If it is more important, he'll highlight. So many books I have read, like the entire Dune series. He likes science fiction. So I used to sit in the library on the weekends. That's it. I'm like, if I am in the library, the whole weekend I am in the library. Right? And I would read. So Dune, the entire, collection of Asimov, Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings books. In fact, there I've learned Tolkien has written at least 30 books in his lifetime. And one of the book got published after he passed away, and that's called Silmarillion. And based on the Silmarillion, there is a new HBO series was also came in, The Power of Rings or something. It's really wonderful. If you get a chance, watch it. So that whole theme is based on the Silmarillion. So, I mean, all these things I've learned. See, until that point, I was like a student. Of course, I did my engineering, but I studied. Most of my education is in government schools in India. Government schools in India are not like the public schools here, right? So very poor performance of the teachers. I mean, the teachers doesn't teach at all. During my school days, I was the teacher for my entire class. I used to read on my own and I used to teach my classmates. So they would gather around me every day because the teacher won't come to the class. So if it is a math class, then I would take the math. It was like that. But it's Telugu medium schools. I didn't have any exposure to English. Only after Chariji, my skills have improved listening to him and reading the books. So you can imagine I would say my life has begun with Chariji. So any comments? And you guys also, I mean, whoever has experienced Chariji, please share. I can go on. So
I think, especially with Charity, I think what Shilpa shared is one perspective. There are so many contrasting perceptions, right? For me, I always, he used to travel to Hyderabad and all, right?
Yeah.
But those trips were actually very casual. We knew actually I knew I was meeting a master, but he more actually came off as somebody that you can more relate to, not as much as um, from a spiritual perspective. And I also hear from others that where they talk about like, oh my God, the presence actually you can feel
Yes.
when when you are actually around him, right? So there are like there are these perspectives or actually observations that people make. Um, Maybe if you can just comment on that.
Yeah. See, he has that charming, the very, what should I say? He's a management guru, and he's well read, and he has seen life, and he has traveled even before he has become a successor for Babuji. He traveled, he studied outside, and he's a musician. He play a flute. In fact, he played flute for London radio. So he has done so many things, right? So sometimes looking at him, some people find it intimidating, and sometimes once you interact with him, like you are like the honey bee. I like this example he gave in this book, My Master, and that's changed my perspective of the guru. So he quoted this example from Babuji. So in especially in the Persian ideology, or philosophy, see these moths which get attracted to the fire and gets immolated in the fire. They burn in the fire. They know that they burn in the fire, but they go to it, right? So I recently shared a video around it in one of the WhatsApp groups. I'll talk about it, but to kind of share what is in my master. So Babuji said, I want those moths which can immolate in the cold fire. Fire is always hot, right? And what is cold fire? I was thinking about it. What he meant by cold fire. I want those moths which can immolate themselves in the cold fire. It really made me go very, very deep. What is this cold fire which Babuji is referring to? So we always have this idea of, any godly figure, whether it's from the past, whether it's from the religion, whether it's from spirituality. There's so many gurus, so many gods, or founders of religions. We always associate with these entities, the so called masters, with the power. And all that we are going to them is for that power. That using their power, they can do some miracle with us. It's always about miracles. It's always about getting something from that power. So even in heartfulness, or that time it used to be called Sahaj Marg, the major attraction was the guru, the master. And we are all going only with this idea that he has some capacity. So it made me question, what if he has what if he is not doing what we are anticipating that he would do? What if he doesn't have any capacity at all? Would we still go to him like the way we are going today? So that made me understand what this cold fire is. Means then we are only going to the guru for the sake of the guru and nothing else. That means there is no transaction in our mind. Hey, I am a meditator, give me peace. That's a transaction we are exchanging through the practice of our meditation. So there are so many ideas like this. Oh, Guru gives me the transmission elevates me spiritually, so hence I am meditating. There is a transaction. It's sometimes it is very difficult to hear such words, but what I'm trying to say is we glorified this entity, and that glory is nothing but the fire, the hot fire, and the moths are going for this fire with that idea, that glorification. What if I'm ready to immolate myself with no more, with no glory, no miracles, no capacity, nothing? Then I am ready to become a disciple. So that is a fundamental difference between a disciple and a seeker. Seeker is very transactional. Even knowledge someone is seeking from the guru, it's transactional. But a disciple is wanting to immerse into the capacity of the guru, right? So that's why it becomes so important that we understand this concept of guru and approach the guru in the right way. Like last week when I was talking to a few folks, I was giving this example. Usually before I go to work in the morning, I would iron my clothes, and my dog, to attract my attention, it brings all its toys and puts it around me. If I'm not attracted to one toy, it will bring another, and by the time I look down when I finish my ironing, there'll be 10 or 15 toys lying around me, and the dog is eagerly looking at which one I'll pick, like that. So we are trying to attract this grace, here master as a principle, not as a person. In so many, in a very, we spend a lot of time emotionally, but we don't really connect in a sense of the right connection is already, the process is given, the framework, the method is given. So connect with that inner love and devotion. And what is devotion? Devotion only happens when you understand the value of that connection, value of that relationship. What is that? How is it ennobling me, evolving me? Then the devotion happens. Devotion is always with the right understanding and the right cause and the right means. Devotion is not emotional. There are so many people I have heard say, "Oh, I love my master, I can give my life to him." That is not devotion. That's just an emotion, ecstasy. Devotion is devoid of all ecstasy. There is no ecstasy in devotion. There is zero emotion in devotion. It's almost zero. You don't even know how to express that devotion. Then we are ready to receive that grace unfiltered. So that should be the way we should connect with the master. Not because he is master, but because you understand the value of that connection. And it's all about waiting. I was reading one of the Sufis' book, Shames, and one disciple walks into the so-called, their ashram, and then the disciple says, "I have been," the new seeker, you can call him, he says, "I have been here 10 days, I'm serving, and this guy has not even glanced at me." And the Shem says, "I was here for 20 years. And one day the guru just glanced at me for a second and the work is done." That's what the message, what Daji's message is saying. Prepare the soil. And when the glance falls on you, even it is for a second, the work is done. So it is all about waiting and preparing. But we want to grab the attention. And we want, even this connection with the master becomes a power. Oh, that guy, his master talks to him. So that becomes suddenly some great importance to that person. Why? Because we have not understood the way of the masters. We have not understood that inner connection. So to me, if you ask me how many abhyasis are there in heartfulness, I will say only two. One is the master and myself. To me, there is no third person exist, because that's all it matters. And through that connection, we are expanding into this universe. Then everyone becomes part of you. But it is only two always. And two is trying to become one. That is the spiritual way.
Because there is there is that um, there is that access with Chariji, right? And especially to the point what you talked about, those who connected actually feel powerful, right? That seemed to be there, right?
Yeah.
Especially with during Chariji's time, right? Who is at the gate and what was his perspective? We didn't know actually, like what Chariji's, how he looked at it.
No, it doesn't matter. See, even when you go to a government office, the gatekeeper is at the lowest ladder in a government office, correct? But because he is maintaining the line outside the office to get into the queue, right? That gatekeeper feels the power. And whenever someone feels the power, power is always destruction. Power is never constructive. So power is always abused in a small way to the bigger way. And what we, most of the Abhyasis felt, the gatekeeper's power, not the master's power behind it. So I don't think they see, for them there is so many things they are looking at. And so it changed, it evolved over a period of time. Now there are no gates at Daji's house, but now nobody ventures. No one stopping, but no one ventures. So, because and here, because we all felt he is accessible, Chariji is accessible, everyone tried to venture it, to go and see him, correct? So that, I mean, he basically, it was his connection with the people made them wait at the gate and just to go and talk to him, because they wanted that attention. But if we have sought this inner attention, I'll give you one example. In my case, I don't like to talk about experiences, but this time I am making an exception. This is before 99 April celebrations. I was really looking forward to go, because the ashram was constructed in Chennai, as I'm almost month before. Every day I would get a dream, and I would walk into Chariji's office. He looks at me, our eyes meet, and then I would ask, Master, can I get a sitting? As soon as I utter those words, the dream ends. I would come out of my sleep, and it happened almost every day for a month. Then I went for the celebrations. It's on the third day after the celebrations. It's April, summer, very hot in Chennai, very hot and humid. And it's like now I am in Florida. It's worse than the Florida humidity, right? So in one afternoon at 2 p.m., it's very hot, midday of the summer, right? Very hot. But somehow I had a strong urge that I should go to the master's cottage gate, and I was standing in front of the gate. And at 2:15 he would walk out, looks at me. There are so many people. Good to see one face I can recognize. And he walked out and he sat on that chair, metal chair. And that chair must be very hot. I don't know why he sat on it. He sat, and then about 10 people gathered. And the questions started flowing. Someone asked, what is prayer? He said, prayer is a way of life. And from that day onwards, to me, that sentence stuck with me. Right? So And the prayer became incessant for me. It's continuous for me from that day onwards. And recently I came across a book, A Pilgrim, The Way of the Prayer. If you get that book, read it. Amazing. It is from, I think, Ethiopian Christianity or someplace. Very good book. And it even increased my understanding of the prayer. So then, that after that celebrations, he was going to Satkol. Everyone is asking, hey, can I go with you to Satkol? And he kept on saying yes to everybody. Almost 10 people he said yes. And I was the 11th guy to ask. I asked him, can I go to Satkol with you, Master? And then he looks at me and says, you should be asking me for a sitting, right? I was shocked. Until that point, it was a dream for me, and I was getting this dream that I am asking him for a sitting, and then the dream ends. And here he's in front of me, and I'm asking him something else. And he's reminding me, you should be asking me for a sitting. So I said, that was my next question, Master. He laughed and said, that should have been your first question. So then I said, okay, can I get a sitting? He said, no. And then I asked him, can I go to Satkol with you? He said, no. So I said, now you gave me two no's, Master. He said, it's like this, when you're going out to work and your wife says, honey, you did not kiss me, and you go back and kiss her, it has no value. You should have done it in the first place. Right? And then he laughed. So he said, did I lose both chances? He said, yes. So this is how, the awareness Daji talks about nowadays, pramadam. He kept on talking about it. This awareness, unless, it's already, the hints are there. You have those dreams, you have those indications, but we don't go for it. We are always going for something else. We are missing the real essence, real value. So we'll keep losing these opportunities. Instead of asking for the real thing, we are all asking for something else. So these are the lessons I have learned from him. Without giving any actual lessons, by living examples, he's giving these lessons to, everyone, I think.
Ethan, what was your takeaway from that when he said that to you? So how did you feel?
I felt bad, but the takeaway is that, that's what I'm saying. We don't keep the real value in front of the master. So the sitting was the real value. Satkol was nice to have, nice to go with him. Right? So we are missing the real value, and we are asking something else always. We are always asking something else. See, recently I was talking to an Abhyasi. So he said, if I do Sahaj Marg, sincerely, will I get a better life, rich life next in my next life? So I said, what is rich life? I told him, you are already a IT engineer making at least $200,000 a year. Is it not rich enough? So I told him, you are the top 10% population in the world. If the top 10% of the population in the world is not happy, what about the bottom 90? So we are always seeking something which has of no value. But the real value, knowingly we are dropping it. So that's why this awareness principle is such an important thing in our life. Always, question what you are seeking and make adjustments, bring that awareness if this is really valuable. It is not about, spirituality never ask you to negate anything. It doesn't say money is bad, relationships is bad, or anything is bad. If it is spirituality, in my opinion, spirituality is all inclusive. There is no exclusivity in spirituality. But this inclusive is always in moderation. Even that's why the bird with the two wings, what Chariji used to speak about all the time. So we have to balance our life. We have to bring moderation into our lives. So moderation brings peace and contentment in life. Right? So according to each one's capacity, their earnings, their living style, everything changes. It doesn't mean we have to let go that capacity, but it means don't to get too dragged into it and miss the real thing. Don't get too dragged into the real thing and miss the life passions and achievements. So both have to be there. So spirituality doesn't ask you to negate anything, whether it's your family, whether it's your job, whether it's your earnings, whether it's your spiritual practice. We cannot neglect anything in our life if I am a true spiritual being.
So did that change you, that experience?
Yeah, I mean,
What?
it changed me to a larger extent, but still there is a hope to change more. So it's never ending. There's always a new learning. There is always. So that's why my experience has been, see, today, if I have this concept of spirituality, I know in next 2 weeks it's going to change. I'll be proved wrong. Whatever I'm thinking, how much ever I think is great, what I'm thinking, my experience has been it is going to change in next 2 weeks. If you ask me the same question after 2 weeks, I'll give you a different answer. So that's why I've not solidified my ideas in spirituality. I kept it open. Okay, today this is how I understand, this is how I think, but I know it's going to change. So I am not fixated on my understanding of spirituality or the master. That's what at least Chariji's life taught me. That's why every time masters speak, they speak the same concept differently, as if they are contradicting with their own concept. Even they are evolving. Their ideas, their understanding is changing. They have not reached a fixed stage. If someone has reached a fixed state, it is not spirituality.
So, Brother Srikanth, Suresh here. So, my challenge always is, I conduct programs in different libraries here, and I see a lot of new seekers come and experience heartfulness. But the main challenge is how to retain them, and also like earlier the beginning of heartfulness, Dari used to tell us what are the do's and don'ts when we talk to the new people they are coming. We follow those things, but sometimes I feel that is there anything I can improve myself to to conduct these programs better? Those kind of things. One thing is, Charity Master always talk about service and doing volunteer and all that. Yeah. So you have any thoughts? Like you also going through the same thing, right? So what do you have?
Fortunately, I am not. I'll tell you why. Because I'm never looking at a person who walks in to take a sitting. My only role is to serve. and whether the retention happens or not, the ball is in their court, not in your court. It's like if you are playing tennis or ping pong, you can put the ball into their court, but you cannot go to the other side and play the ball, right?
Right.
So once you put the ball into their court, it becomes their responsibility to play that ball. That's how I look at it. Retention is not my responsibility. Serving is my responsibility. And it doesn't mean so something in them, if it is connects, we are all like that. We are here because we played that ball. And I have seen, like, if let's say if I start 10,000 people, about 5 people will stay for a couple of years. At the end of 5 years, you will only see one person. That's the retention ratio. Why is it a problem with our serving, or is the problem with the transmission, problem with the method? I don't want to analyze it like that. It is all up to the person. We are here, something we felt and something kept us here. We really don't know what kept us here. Same thing happens, when someone walks in. If they're ready, they'll get ignited. If they're not ready, it'll take some time. So we send them with an idea that, okay, they will always come back. Sometimes that fire, right? Like in the summer, your fireplace fire is still on. I mean, that, what do you call that, flame is on.
Pilot.
Ignition is on. Pilot is still on. Right? But when the time comes, you ignite it.
Right.
The same thing with every person who walks in. So it's like, if I'm a server in the restaurant, I take the order, I serve whatever they ask, I give it, and whether they like the food or not, it depends on each taste bud. I cannot guarantee that everyone who walks into the restaurant as a server in the restaurant, they like every food they are eating. Right? So it's up to the individual. My role is they ordered the food, they ordered pasta, I served pasta. They ordered something else, fried rice, I served fried rice. That's it. That's where my job ends. So I don't take it to the heart. I pray and then I leave. That's it. But I've done, I mean, like, constantly, when I was in Minneapolis or then I was in Charlotte, there was not a single weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I have not conducted the open house. Not a single. In all my Abhyasi and preceptor years, not a single weekend passed without doing an open house. Nowadays, I'm not doing it, but I've done it so much. And 1 or 2 people, sometimes there's nobody. I would when there's nobody, it was the wonderful thing. I would meditate 1 hour and connect with the surroundings and pray and come out.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's basically what Lord Krishna said, right?
Yeah.
Do your duty without expectation and leave the results to me. Yeah. So
I have spoken about that sentence so much. That is the most misunderstood statement of the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll talk to you about that in person because it would take some time to explain it.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
Maybe I can just to that point, how the masters talk about, like, the flowers, right? Or the fragrance. They are not begging you to come smell the flower. It's like, if you are the flower, the fragrance will attract. So spirituality or divinity or your own experience is like that. You don't have to tell or talk about, okay, go smell the rose, it's beautiful. It's just, you have to be yourself and be within that divinity, because it's really like he's saying, it's nothing that you seek, because if you're seeking that, then that's transactional. But And I think the masters talk about it all the time that you can't ignore the soil around it. So you can't expect some flowers to bloom without nurturing. So the nurturing is the other thing, the prayer, the meditation, the cleaning, living the 10 maxims. That's what we should focus on, and not where, the flower is fragrant or not. Because the fragrance will attract, it's complete in itself. And that's the power of just meditation. So those who have understood and have experienced that flavor will be attracted and will come to you on their own. You have to do nothing except being sincere, right?
Yeah, I was listening to this Andrew Huberman podcast. I don't know, some of you might be listening to him. So in that podcast, he asked a chemist to join. So this whole discussion was about smells. So even the smells, there is as many people as there in this world, each one perceives the smell differently. For some people, a nice rose smell, it smells like a very pungent, rotten smell. I mean, this was on the podcast I'm saying. For some people, the regular popcorn with no cheese smells like a cooked chicken. And in Chariji's life, I'll tell you, this is a funny story. So once, this is in Dayton, Ohio, and as you know, especially during the spring or fall, there'll be a lot of skunks on the road. So I think a skunk might have died on the road, and we are going in the car. I happened to be in that car, and we know that it is skunk smell, right? And Chariji takes a deep breath. He says, somebody is brewing a nice coffee. And we all laughed. For him, it felt like a coffee brew, and it was actually a skunk smell. So it all depends, how we are perceiving the smells. Even the fragrance, it doesn't mean every time. If it is a good fragrance for you, doesn't mean it attracts the other person. Right? So it's interesting, how many perceptions, how many ways, people look at things. And just because I have this perspective doesn't mean everyone has to agree to it. Okay. So each one is individual. So that's why spirituality, especially a master, is only a cooperative entity. Okay, so it cooperates in whatever you want to do, in whichever way you want to go. So God is a cooperative entity. God never enforces anything on you.
Right.
Okay, so this happened in Minneapolis. I happened to give a sitting. I went to an old lady's house. She probably in her mid-80s. And she was talking about the judgment day. I said, what do you think the judgment will be? And she laughed and said, oh, I'm sure I'm going to hell. So I said, why then God has to decide? You already know. Right? So then I asked her, would you build a clock where you adjust every second by yourself, or you want the clock to adjust by itself? She said, I want the clock to be adjusted by itself. So you think God is a fool where he has to monitor you, watch you every second, your thoughts, and make a note of it? Or do you think that system he has already put into you? If you are a smart God, what would you do? You put that system into every being. So I said, you have to beat that system. And the Sahaj Marg, heartfulness, has already given a way to clear out all our samskaras so that we can get purified. So that's why, see the efficacy of the system, how much it is bringing to you in multidimensionally it is helping you, it is transforming you. But we have to make use of it. Sometimes we are caught up, without understanding, this master's words. We repeat it, we say it, but we don't understand the essence behind it. So it is always, my question has been, even when I was talking to I go to Bhagavad Gita study groups, I tell everyone there, don't interpret your own way what the Lord's words are. Pray to that Lord and say, make me understand the way you are speaking. Give me your perspective. It is not my perspective which is important. Give me your perspective. That should be the prayer all the time. We have to get the other's perspective, that master's perspective, rather than our own interpretation, our own translation. If master says you should have faith, and then we already know what that faith means. We have translated into our concepts, our constructs, but we never ask, Master, show me what that faith you meant. Because we have already understood. So we have learned ignorance, and we are happy with our learning, and we are happy with our ignorance. We never ask this question internally, okay, what is that you mean? Even like yesterday, I was sharing this idea. In our prayer, it says, Thou art the God and power. Why God and power? We read it, we talked about it, and masters have given some answers. But we never asked in our hearts, make me understand from your perspective. Then it will give you a completely different answer than what we translated or how we understood from our own perspectives. So anything you read Bible, you should pray and ask. You read any complete works of Babuji, pray, and every sentence you pray to understand what Babuji meant. Whispers, lot of people have said there is nothing in whispers, no information. Whisper says, oh, this is such a beautiful, great condition, Babuji. It was so subtle. Something like that the scribe is saying. So there it is, it's an encoded message. You read that whisper and you allow yourself for that condition to be descended on you. So Whispers is an encoded book of conditions. It should have named it as Book of Conditions. But to experience that condition, we must pray. Read the whisper, pray, read the whisper, pray until that condition dawns on you. Then you will find a different meaning in that whisper. Otherwise, it's no information. It's some reading, oh, Babaji is praying Chariji or Daji or someone else, and that's how you read it. There's not much. Many people have said there is nothing in whispers for me to grasp. But all those conditions are encoded there for you to grasp, which doesn't come normally through our intellect. So that's why the incessant prayer.
Thank you, Sridhar. Any other questions, comments?
Okay, so Amit, you guys have spent some time with Charity? Okay, good.
Hari spends some time there.
Okay. Would you guys like to
We have any experience?
something?
Very shy. Okay. Shrikant, thank you, Shrikant.
All right, thank you, and thank you for
Yeah.
listening to me, and
Thanks.
really wonderful to see you all. Yeah, I wish I'll try to make a trip sometime, before winter begins to Minneapolis.
Yes.
Yeah, we are waiting for you to come.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank you, Shrikant.
thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Hari, you're coming